The fire never forgets. They were waiting for him. Evan returned to Lake Breeze Camp, but it was no longer a place of laughter and summer memories. It was a graveyard. The cabins had rotted away. The docks had collapsed into the lake. Nature had swallowed everything except for one thing: the charred remains of the tent. It was still there, burned, blackened, barely standing, but waiting. Evan stepped closer, his breath shaky. The air felt thick, like something unseen was pressing against his chest. He reached out, brushing his fingers against the burned wood, and then he heard it. A rustling behind him. Slowly, he turned. 3 figures stood in the moonlight. Their clothes were burned, their skin grayish-white, and their eyes black, hollow voids. "You came back, Evan," one of them whispered. His legs buckled. He couldn't breathe. He tried to speak, to tell them he was sorry, but his voice wouldn't come out. "Did you think you could forget?" the second one asked. "Did you come for forgiveness?" the third added. Suddenly, the world around him changed. He was no longer an adult. He was 10 years old again. The gasoline canister was in his hands. The fire was already spreading. The girls were screaming. But this time, he couldn't stop it. His vision snapped back to the present, but something was wrong. The air was getting hotter. He looked down. His own body was on fire. The flames crawled up his legs, eating away at his flesh. He screamed, rolling on the ground, trying to put it out, but the fire wouldn't go out. The girls stood over him, watching in silence, just like they had that night. The next morning, his charred remains were found at the ruins of the camp. There was no sign of fire anywhere. The police ruled it an unexplained death, but the locals say that Lake Breeze Camp is still cursed, and if you listen closely at night, you might hear a whisper calling your name.